Thank you for tuning into TTV. I'm your host, Toya, and today I'm coming to you about what I call the setup. And it's funny because I know I did a video on this before, but for the life of me, I cannot find it. Okay, I have three different channels, and I've checked all three channels. One of the channels I have, the videos I have actually, they're gone. There's only one video on there that I did on distilled water, and I can probably redo that one to give you guys a better look. But the videos are gone. So, because I mentioned this in the book review that I did today, well, I'm coming to you guys today, so you get a second video today because, like I said, I cannot find where I did this video. So, what I call the setup. So, in life, there are times and situations where things happen, and if you go back and look, you'll see there was a progression of things that came to be before this setup, before this one event. And I call that the setup. Almost like a domino effect. If you can think about dominoes, how when you were a kid, you used to set up those dominoes and they will all line up. And then once you tap them, they will all fall. The same kind of principle. So, me being the spiritual person that I am, I believe there are times in life when we get drawn or pushed or guided towards certain things, and you'll have one thing that leads to another thing that leads to another thing, and bada boom, bada bing, there you are. And it's a whole setup. And sometimes I feel that we as humans, we get caught up in our day-to-day lives, and we don't look or pay attention to what all went in, like what had to take place for you to end up in the situation you're in. So I'm gonna use myself as an example. Okay, so back in 2015, I believe it was, I walked away from my house. The house was falling apart. It wasn't worth as much as money as I was paying in a mortgage. The bank didn't want to work with me, as far as refinancing it to something that's more affordable and what it's actually worth. And I ended up consulting some lawyers, and basically what ended up happening is it was a whole financial thing, and I ended up walking away from the house. And before I did, I had to make the decision on what it was that I really wanted. And when I finally figured out what I wanted, because I wanted something that had an apartment like feel, well, I shouldn't even say apartment feel, apartment size bills, but with a house feel. But I didn't want to rent a house because I just didn't want to deal with another house. And I didn't want to be in an apartment because your neighbors are too close. And I don't want to hear everything that's going on with other people. And so what I found was this mobile park community. And so they have manufactured homes, and you get the home part of it because they're spaced apart. You have your own lawn and yard and grass and stuff that you can take care of and build a garden if you want, do all that kind of things. But you also have the space of a nice size apartment. And so when I made up my mind that that was what I wanted to do, I started looking in, and I found, like I said, I found this community. I put my application in. It was a wait list. Okay, I'm telling you all this information for a reason. There was a wait list, and the lady told me that when there was an apartment when there was a home that was available, that she would give me a call, and I would make the appointment, come down, take a look at it, put the deposit down, so on and so forth, and go from there. So out the blue, this one, I think it was on a Saturday too, I get a phone call from the office, and it's a guy, and he said, "Are you still interested in getting a place from us?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, well, we have one that just opened up. You can go take a look at it. If you like it, then you bring your deposit and it's yours." So I was like, "Sweet, I'll be there like 5 minutes." So I got here, looked at the house, put my deposit down on it, and that started the process for me getting the house that I'm in right now. And when it came time for me to call back to finish up the process, the lady told me, she said, "You know, you weren't supposed to get this house." She said that there were, I can't remember, it was 3 or 5 people ahead of me. But there were some people ahead of me on this wait list that were supposed to be able to look at the house and get it before I did. Okay? That's number one. But what happened is she was sick and couldn't come in. So she called off. And the guy who was taking her place or watching it, they told him to start making the phone calls for people to get them in so they can rent these houses. And instead of going by the process, he just started calling people. And whoever answered was whoever he told to come on up here, take a look, and put your deposit down. Okay? So this is what I mean by the setup. So the first setup was that this lady got sick. This lady got sick and couldn't come in. Okay, that was setup number one. Setup number two, this dude that took her place, who isn't usually doing this process, it doesn't know what the process is, just started calling people. Okay, that's number two. I was not the first one on the list. Okay, so that means he called people before me who, for whatever reason, didn't answer the phone. So when it got to me, I answered the phone and took action. Okay, this is what I mean by the setup. Like, what had to happen for this lady to get sick? What had to happen for this guy to be the only option that they had for calling people? What had to happen to all those people they called before me to come in for them not to answer their phone and not to make that call and not to take action like I did? That is what I call a setup. And you have these setups throughout your life. It's just a lot of times we don't pay attention to it and we don't give thanks for it. Okay? We don't get thanks for what had to go in behind the scenes for you to end up where you are. Okay, because it's some stuff that gotta, like, I don't even know why she was sick. She could have had diarrhea or something. I don't know what happened to the people. Like, you were distracted at that exact moment that these people were calling you to where you couldn't answer the phone. And like I said, I can't remember, it was 3 or 5 people, but it was people ahead of me is the point. So these people ahead of me didn't answer the phone for whatever reason. Maybe they overslept or they sleep in on a week. I don't know. I don't know, but this is what I call the setup. So these are the dominoes that took place and that were set up in place so that when it got set into motion, the end result was me answering the phone and getting what it is that I was trying to manifest in my life. Okay, so pay attention to it, give homage to it, give thanks to it, because we get set up all the time. And sometimes it's not something as major as me getting a new house. Sometimes it could be something as simple as you needing to hear a certain song on the radio. Okay, you had a bad day, this your favorite song. Every time you hear it, you just start dancing and you instantly get in a better mood every time you hear the song. And it just so happens that when you needed to hear it, it was the moment you got in your car and started the car up and the radio was playing the song for you. That's a setup, because what had to happen for that song to play at that exact moment? Some people call these coincidences, and I don't believe in coincidence. I believe everything happens for a reason. And the whole ideal of this setup is the reason, okay? Sometimes it's things that we might not even know. Like, you can be set up for whatever reason. Like, I remember there was another time, well, actually, I did find a reason for that, but I'll still use it as an example. There was a time when I was younger. And we live right by the freeway. Like, go around the corner, you can get on the freeway on I-75. And I used to take I-75 to work every day. I-75 to I-696, bada boom, bada bing, I'm at work, okay? And for whatever reason, instead of turning right to go to the freeway, I ended up turning left and went down DeQuinder, down the main street to get to my job. And even as I did it, I said, why did I do that? But I didn't know. I just was like, well, I'm on the street now, so I guess this is the way I'm going, because I had time. So I wasn't in a hurry. And by the time I got to work, the lady that I was working with had the news playing. And just then, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes before I got into work, where I would have been at that time when I would have been on that freeway, there was a 7-pound car accident. And I wasn't involved in it because I took the street. So again, that's a setup to have me take a different route instead of getting on the freeway. And that may have happened to you before. And maybe you don't know that there was an accident or something that happened. Maybe it was, it would have happened if you were on the freeway, but you don't know. You just know that you took this other path instead of going the way you normally do. And you might not even realize it or understand why you did it. But it happens. Okay? And that's what I mean by the setup. So when you notice that this happened, go back and look at everything that had to happen for that moment to happen for you. Okay? Because it's a lot. And people think that they're alone or don't nobody care. The universe, spirit, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever you call them, that spirit, your ancestors, your guides, they are always there looking out for you, for your benefit. for what can be done to help you get to where you need to do, for you to succeed in life. So anytime you think that you are alone, think back over your life at the moments that were set up. Back over the day and the weeks that you just experienced. When was that set up for you? And pay attention to it and give thanks to it. Give thanks to those who went through all that trouble to make that one little event happen for you. It's a lot that goes into it. And you just need to be thankful for it, recognize it. And anytime, like I said, you feel like you're alone and you're doing this by yourself, go back to those moments that were set up for you, where things just happen to happen. And you don't understand how it happened, but it just happened. That's what I mean by the setup. And that's the people, the spirits that are around you that are trying to help you in your life. So that was the message. Quite a little different than the one I recorded the first time, but same message. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, share with people that you know needs to hear this. But I love you guys, and I will talk to you later.